Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. My name is Matt. I know this podcast is quite new, but some of you have been following along for a while now. As you may have noticed, the narrator has changed a couple of times already in just a few months. The truth is, the podcast has been growing extremely slow, and basically nobody has left us any reviews so far. I'm here as the new voice of the podcast and would love to stick around, but I need your support to do so. Please, if you enjoy our content, it would mean so much to us if you could just leave us a review on whichever podcast platform you use. Now, take a deep breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Hello and welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. It's time to slow down, settle in, and allow your mind to drift toward gentle relaxation. Tonight you will be guided through a softly lit Halloween journey, a tranquil ghost tour through the rainy, historic streets of Savannah, Georgia. Though mysterious whispers echo through old squares and lantern-lit alleyways, each detail is designed to lull you into comfort and rest. So, please make yourself cozy, take a deep breath, and let your eyelids grow heavy as you step into this peaceful world. Take a long, slow inhale through your nose. Notice how the air feels soft against your skin, how it settles warmly in your lungs. Then exhale gently, releasing any little tension that might be resting in your shoulders or along your spine. Feel free to close your eyes, or if you prefer, keep them partially open. The important thing is to cultivate a sense of comfort. Take another slow, deep breath now. Allow it to be a cleansing wave, drifting through your body, sweeping away the day's worries. You're here to rest, to let the weight of the day melt into the background. Above you, imagine a sweeping night sky, smoky clouds gently shifting in the distance. The air feels mildly cool, the hush of evening settling across the horizon. A pleasant drizzle begins, as though the clouds are offering a lullaby of soft rain to accompany your journey. Let your imagination wander into a scene lit by old-fashioned street lamps that glimmer on damp cobblestones. Perhaps there's a distant scent of magnolias, reminiscent of a warm southern night. With the faint patter of raindrops tapping softly, you can feel yourself becoming lighter, calmer, more open to peaceful dreams. In a moment, the narrative will unfold, and you'll be carried through a gentle tale of antique buildings and raindrops, glistening beneath lantern light. As you continue to breathe at a soothing pace, there's no need to strain or hurry. Simply allow the story to wash over you, letting each sentence guide you deeper into tranquility. On a misty evening in Savannah, rain gently traced the edges of every worn brick and iron fence. Cobblestone streets shimmered under street lamps that flickered with a steady, warm glow. The night air, though damp and laced with a trace of chill, carried a subtle warmth from the day's earlier sunshine. Trees draped with Spanish moss swayed quietly in the breeze, their soft tendrils curling like ghostly fingers over historic mansions and centuries-old churchyards. At the center of one of these squares, a figure strolled at a leisurely pace. Clad in a light coat, the figure held a slender umbrella that arched above like a delicate shield. against the weather. Rain pitter-pattered on the umbrella's surface, creating a rhythmic lullaby that soothed the silence of the streets. Tonight was a night of whispers and quiet stories, of half-forgotten tales etched into the aged bones of Savannah's architecture. The figure moved along feeling neither fear nor urgency. Instead, there was a simple curiosity, a gentle eagerness to explore. Savannah had always been a place of layered history. The centuries had built up like translucent veils, each concealing and revealing something from the past. Nighttime in this city allowed those layers to mingle freely. A street lamp's glow could suddenly illuminate the memory of a bygone century. A whisper in the wind could recall the laughter or lament of generations long gone. Yet there was no sense of dread here, only a soft, persistent enchantment. Through puddles reflecting the amber lights, the figure ventured toward an ivy-covered carriage house. Raindrops slid down the old shutters, tapping in a dreamy cadence against glass panes. It was said that inside those walls, stories thrummed like old lullabies. People whispered that a gentle spirit resided there, content to linger, occasionally revealing itself as a vague shimmer or a quiet footstep in an empty room. Even so, the feeling was never frightening, merely a reminder that life has a way of leaving imprints. Stepping closer, the figure peered at the carriage house's arched door, noticing the textured grain of the antique wood. The door boasted a wrought iron knocker shaped like a lion's head, its metal glimmering under the soft drizzle. For a moment, there came a subtle sense of hushed expectancy, as though the ghostly occupant watched politely from a window or from behind the walls, waiting to be noticed. Then a stray breeze carried the faint scent of wet leaves and moistened brick, drawing the figure gently onward. Farther down the lane, a small group gathered under an overhang. They held maps and brochures detailing haunted highlights of the city, with images of candlelit windows and tall, lonesome shadows. Their soft chatter carried across the night air in quiet, excited murmurs. The figure joined them, finding comfort in the shared sense of discovery. Even as thunder rumbled lazily in the distance, no one braced for a storm. Instead, the mild electricity in the sky felt like a gentle presence, as though nature itself was softly underscoring the mood of the evening. A guide, an older woman with eyes that sparkled in the lamplight, welcomed each attendee with a serene smile. Her voice, low and measured, carried the weight of tales passed down over time. She encouraged everyone to step further beneath the shelter, away from the dripping eaves, ensuring no one felt uneasy about the rain. Then she began to speak of Savannah's layered tapestry of ghost stories, weaving each word with warm reverence, as though the city's phantoms were dear friends. The group meandered along the winding streets, passing Victorian-style houses adorned with intricate cast-iron balconies. Lanterns flickered, illuminating steps worn by generations of residents. Every so often, the guide paused before a dimly lit doorway or a stately porch. She would recount gentle apparitions, white lace dress gliding silently through a hallway, or the soft tune of an old lullaby drifting through empty rooms at twilight. These were the smaller, quieter stories, never meant to frighten. Rather, they served as souvenirs of a city that remembered its inhabitants, even as time carried them into other realms. The figure listened, mesmerized, to the hush of the guide's voice blending with the patter of rainfall. There was something reassuring in the combination, like a bedtime story recited for centuries. Occasionally, a soft breeze would lift the Spanish moss that draped low across the branches overhead, adding gentle motion to the scene. The leaves, shimmering with droplets, took on a slight silver glint, reflecting the lamplights in watery patterns on the street. When the group turned onto a narrower lane, the cobblestones became more uneven. Light from the nearest lamp struggled to reach the end of the road, which faded into gentle darkness. Here, the guide spoke of a young spirit said to linger by an old schoolhouse. She explained how teachers from long ago claimed to have heard the faint sound of a child's footsteps on the upper floors, or a hushed giggle in the stillness. Far from haunting, it felt like a playful reminder that youth, wonder, and a lingering spark of joy could never be fully extinguished. The figure's thoughts drifted. Visions of the past seemed to mix seamlessly with the present, as though these stories were woven into the fabric of the city itself. Rain cascaded softly off the gutters of nearby houses, forming little waterfalls that sparkled momentarily, then disappeared into the drains. Every so often, a sudden hush would fall over the street, and the only sound was the beating of the rain, like the steady pulse of the night. A short while later, the group arrived at a small gated square. Ornate wrought iron surrounded this tranquil garden, and within its boundaries, a large oak spread its limbs with solemn grace. The guide paused, letting the group settle into the quiet. She pointed to a statue at the square's center, an elegant figure carved in stone, dressed in the style of another era. Tendrils of moss hung around the statue like a lacy veil. People whispered of gentle apparitions gliding near this monument at the stroke of midnight, as though paying respects to a memory cherished yet unresolved. The figure observed the hush among the gathering. There was a collective sense of awe, but no alarm. Each person seemed to sense a timeless presence resting calmly in that square, a link between the living and the memories that gently refused to fade. Raindrops clung to the statue's surface, outlining the features in a glossy sheen that flickered under the lamplight. A single drop rolled down from the statue's cheek, as if the stone itself was weeping, though not out of sorrow, perhaps out of longing or tender remembrance. The tour pressed on, wandering along quiet streets where gas-lit lanterns glowed like cozy beacons in the night. Occasionally, curtains rustled in the windows of old houses, revealing a glimpse of warm interior light. Passers-by with umbrellas crossed the road, briefly illuminated by the glow of street lamps. Still, the city's hush remained ever present, as though everyone understood that this was an hour for calm reflection. A slight incline led up to a home known for its layered history. Its foundation was older than much of the surrounding architecture, and legends suggested that late at night one could see the flicker of a candle in the upstairs window. Some believed it to be an echo of a past caretaker, watching over the place even in the afterlife. Others proposed that it was a kindly ancestor, checking to ensure that each generation felt cared for. Tonight that window was dark, but the sense of presence remained, swirling in the damp breeze that tugged at the figure's umbrella. The group gathered on the front porch, a creaking platform with wide wooden steps. The guide's voice became softer as she recounted the family who once lived there, describing how they spent quiet evenings, telling stories by the fireplace. When tragedy took some of them too soon, they left behind not sorrow, but a gentle concern for one another, manifested in soft rustlings and an occasional glimpse of a figure gliding past a mirror or corridor. Folks who stayed in the house years later reported feeling a warm watchfulness, as if someone unseen still wished them well. Further along were a small courtyard nestled behind a gate. Golden lamplight revealed an angel statue standing guard. The courtyard was carpeted in a soft layer of leaves, turning their autumn colors, each leaf weighted gently by the rain. The statue's wings seemed almost alive in the interplay of shadows and flickering glow. Legend said that on Halloween night, passers-by might catch a fleeting sense of the statue's face shifting as though offering a reassuring smile. This ghost story was more tender than eerie, suggesting that guardians can exist in many forms, even centuries-old marble. By this point, the clouds overhead began to thin, letting the moon peek through in pale, silvery rays. That subtle moonlight, merged with the lamplights below, painted the streets in an almost ethereal radiance. The group paused, each member marveling at how gracefully the city embraced its stories. With each step forward, they found themselves carried deeper into a dreamlike reverie, where time and place felt suspended in a serene tapestry of murmured legends. Somewhere near the center of town, they approached a grand mansion known for its imposing columns and tall windows. Candlelit flickers in the glass hinted at the interior, where floorboards might creak of their own accord, and distant laughter from ages past could sometimes be heard, echoing in the hall. A wrought iron fence encircled the house, interwoven with climbing vines that glistened in the rain. Large oak branches stretched overhead, shedding droplets that landed softly on the shoulders of the group below. They stood just outside the fence, listening as the guide spoke of a party once held here in the late 1800s, at which guests in lace and velvet gowns danced the night away under chandeliers. Some rumored that each Halloween the faint echo of music played beneath the moon, and silhouettes of elegantly dressed revelers danced in the windows. The notion conjured not dread, but but a wistful yearning for a moment in time long past, yet somehow still present in the memory-laden walls. Afterward, the figure in the group ventured deeper into the heart of the city's historic district. Narrow lanes meandered between tall, shuttered windows and hidden gardens. Occasionally, a hush would wrap around them, broken only by the distant coo of a mourning dove or the drip of water slipping from a rooftop. The sense of calm and reflection deepened, inviting everyone to slow their pace and listen intently to the quiet voice of the night. They came upon a short, open courtyard bathed in gentle moonlight, where a small fountain bubbled. The water glimmered, reflecting the overhanging branches of magnolia trees. A ghostly tale lingered here as well, about a figure sometimes seen sitting on the fountain's edge. Not a threatening presence, but rather a lonely silhouette, waiting in silence. Locals believed this was a beloved soul from centuries past who found peace in that tranquil spot, preferring to watch the city shift through time under the soft hush of midnight. Nobody had ever reported feeling fear in that presence, only the sense of longing that arises when one sees someone lost in a quiet dream. The hours wore on and the gentle tour continued, guided by the hush of raindrops and distant thunder. Savannah's old roads, the creaking gates, the hush of well-worn secrets. They all melted into an almost lullaby-like atmosphere, soothing and ethereal. The group meandered by candle-lit windows where shadows danced on the curtains and through lanes where the gentle patter of footsteps seemed to echo with memories from another age. Soon, the guide led them to a modest square surrounded by stoic townhomes. A statue in the shape of a bird perched atop a low stone pedestal in the square's center, partially hidden by foliage that rustled gently in the breeze. Some say that long ago, a quiet spirit made this square her home. At times she would gather fallen flowers, leaving them at the doorsteps in the neighborhood as a small gift of remembrance. Whether the legend held truth or simply local charm, the result was the same. A warm, comforting presence, the notion that something gentle still stirred after dusk in these quaint corners. When they finally came to the end of the guided path, the group converged at a softly lit veranda. The guide spoke her final words, thanking everyone for sharing in the stories. She expressed the hope that they would carry these gentle echoes with them, remembering that not all ghosts are fearsome. Many are simply echoes of love, memory, and longing. People quietly dispersed, stepping into the hush of the night, their hearts lighter than when they began. Yet the figure lingered. There was a feeling that the evening's narrative wasn't quite finished. A drifting desire to wander just a little more through the rainy hush, letting the final vestiges of these whispered stories settle into the mind like soft lullabies. And so, taking a quiet turn down a side street, the figure walked alone now, umbrella tilted to catch the last delicate raindrops. In that peaceful solitude, the presence of the city's past felt all the more tangible. A lantern's flame danced in the corner of vision, half hidden by the branches of a garden tree. The faint outline of a window frame became a portal to some other time, where one might imagine the friendly silhouette of a long-gone resident gazing out, offering a cordial nod. Footsteps on damp cobblestone echoed softly, and the gentle splashing of rainwater in the gutters served as a soothing accompaniment. After strolling down several quiet blocks, the figure arrived at a grand cemetery. Massive oaks lined its perimeter, draped with Spanish moss that fluttered in a mild breeze. Tall, worn headstones stood in rows, some slightly tilted with age. An intricate iron gate stood at the entrance, and beyond it a path wound among the graves, illuminated occasionally by subtle lamps. The cemetery was an old resting place, steeped in stories that spanned generations, yet it radiated a sense of peace under the silver glow of the moon. Moving along the cemetery path, the figure felt enveloped by an almost sacred stillness. Here, memory was tangible, and each stone was a testament to lives once lived. The hush made it easy to imagine benevolent watchers keeping vigil over this resting ground, ensuring that the quiet remained calm and comforting. The gentle brush of wind along the tree branches, the soft drip of water from leaves onto the grass, everything conspired to create a place of silent reflection rather than dread. It was said that on certain rainy nights, a faint shape might be glimpsed wandering these pathways. A woman dressed in old-fashioned attire, her skirts swaying just above the wet earth. Tales described her as a guardian of sorts, a gentle caretaker who roamed among the graves to offer solace. Some claimed to smell the subtle fragrance of gardenias in her wake. Others spoke of a faint lullaby drifting through the air. No one had ever described her presence as frightening. Instead, she was considered a reminder that kindness and compassion could linger across centuries. Standing by one of the taller headstones, the figure paused, listening intently. Perhaps it was the gentle wind or the soft hush of nocturnal creatures stirring, but there seemed to be a distant melody lingering just out of hearing's reach. It floated in the moist air, blending seamlessly with the droplets that fell from the leaves. In the city's late-night quiet, that ethereal sound evoked an intimate sense of connection, as though the boundary between past and present were translucent, allowing comfort to flow freely through time. Gradually, the clouds began to drift away, and the moon emerged in fuller brilliance. Its pale light fell across the cemetery, illuminating the stone angels and elaborate monuments with a tender glow. The moss glistened in silver curls, and small puddles mirrored the overhead light, turning them into gentle patches of luminosity on the ground. The figure, feeling a soft pull from the city's heart, began a slow return toward the main streets, leaving behind the resting souls with a sense of deep peace. Under the newly cleared sky, the old squares looked different, The sheen on the cobblestones reflected moonbeams as well as the lingering lamplight, merging them into a single gentle radiance. The figure passed an old church, its stained glass windows dark, but still adorned with intricate scenes. A mild breeze swept through, ruffling leaves and shaking droplets from overhanging branches. As each droplet fell, it caught a brief glimmer of moonlight, turning it into a tiny star before it met the ground. The sense of quiet enchantment deepened with each block traveled. Savannah's history and legends felt less like stories now and more like living companions. Even the rain, which had tapered to the occasional sprinkle, joined in the atmosphere of calm. Stepping over an old brick sidewalk, the figure reached a bench beneath a grand oak tree. The desire to rest, to reflect on the evening's wonders, drew them to sit for a moment. Leaning back, the figure noticed how the branches overhead formed a natural canopy, moss dancing gently in the breeze. The smell of damp earth and wet foliage tickled the senses, while a faint hush of water dripping from leaf to leaf created a melodic pattern. It would have been easy to drift off, lulled into a pleasant drowsiness by the consistent rhythms of the night. Indeed, that was precisely what the city seemed to want, to share its serenity, its quiet acceptance, and its comforting stories to those who listened. The figure closed their eyes briefly, imagining what life might have been like in earlier centuries, picturing the stately carriages rolling along the cobblestones, the laughter of families gathered on porches, the warm glow of lanterns lighting the way home. Perhaps the gentle spirits that lingered did so out of love for this place, or a wish to remain part of the gentle tapestry that is Savannah at night. Whatever their reasons, they were a testament to the city's timeless welcome. Eventually the figure rose and continued on, guided by the soft glow of distant lamps. The streets were now nearly silent. Even the background hum of occasional traffic had vanished, replaced by the faint chirp of nocturnal insects and the distant call of a night bird. Window boxes of trailing flowers, newly washed by the rain, let off a delicate perfume that mingled with the scents of old wood and damp stone. Steps led up to a series of row houses, each with its own subtle charm. An antique door knocker here, a stained glass accent there. The figure let the eyes wander, noticing small details that might have been missed earlier. Eventually, a slender alleyway branched off between two historic buildings. Most might pass it by, but something about its quiet invitation was hard to ignore. Perhaps it was the soft flicker of a single lantern at the far end, or the echo of footsteps that seemed to call from beyond. With curiosity gently guiding the way, the figure turned into the alley, footsteps echoing quietly on the narrow stone walkway. A gentle hush blanketed this hidden passage. Old brick walls rose on either side, each brick holding centuries of stories. Overhead, string lights had been hung, dancing faintly in the breeze and offering just enough glow to see by. Raindrops slipped from unseen ledges, landing in shallow puddles that rippled underfoot. As the figure ventured further, a sense of comforting solitude enveloped them. Midway down the alley, there appeared a humble wooden door. The peeling paint suggested it had seen countless storms, yet it stood firm and dignified. The door was slightly ajar, revealing a glimpse of a secret courtyard, illuminated by the amber flicker of a single candle. The figure approached gently and through the gap in the door observed a small table near the courtyard's center. A quiet presence seemed to linger, as though someone had only just stepped away. Perhaps a ghostly host who welcomed wanderers for a moment of stillness. Resting a hand on the door, the figure considered stepping inside, but the sense of reverence for this hidden nook was strong. Sometimes the knowledge that such secret spaces exist is gift enough. The figure let the door remain as it was, slightly open, an invitation waiting for the next curious soul to find solace there. With a calm, grateful heart, the figure turned back down the alley, letting the patter of footsteps on wet stone fill the ears like a lullaby. Returning to a more open street, the figure spotted a gentle glow emanating from a nearby inn, a quaint, centuries-old building. Its windows were softly lit, curtains drawn, and a sign swung from a bracket overhead, squeaking just a bit in the mild wind. The sign displayed an elegant script, marking the inn as a resting place for travelers, both those of the living sort and, if rumors were to be believed, a benevolent spirit or two who wandered the halls. The figure smiled at the notion. Perhaps inside, a crackling fireplace waited, flickering shadows dancing along the walls. Guests would be tucked into bed, lulled to sleep by the faint hum of the city's nighttime hush. With that comforting image, the figure realized how tiredness had begun to settle in. The streets remained gentle and welcoming, but the hour was late, and rest beckoned like a dear friend. And so, stepping forward, the figure made one last, slow pass along the historic district's main thoroughfare. Every house, every tree, every lamppost and iron gate seemed touched by a quiet magic. Even the ghosts that might float by in moonlit windows seemed kindly, ensuring that no fear would disturb this peaceful hour. A sense of profound calm blanketed everything. The figure breathed deeply, inhaling the mild, rain-washed air. With each slow step, the enchantment of the night grew softer, easing into the sweet hush that signals the coming of sleep. And now, dear traveler, in your own quiet space, the time has come to drift away. The story has guided you through a tranquil journey in a city where old secrets hum like lullabies in the rain. Breathe deeply and let the gentle images wash over you. The lamplights on wet streets, the Spanish moss swaying under the moon's glow, and the kind whispers of a friendly specter near an old carriage house. Feel your body sinking deeper into your resting place. Let the muscles in your shoulders soften. Let your jaw relax. Picture the steady rhythm of raindrops tapping against your window. Or imagine that comforting hush from ancient cobblestones carrying their timeless echoes of kindness. Notice how your breath is smooth and slow, each exhale releasing tension from head to toe. You might allow your eyelids to flutter closed if they haven't already. In this final moment, know that there is nothing more to do, no more stories to chase. You have come to the edge of the night where gentle dreams lie waiting. As you slip further into this calm, let each breath guide you to a deeper level of serenity. Imagine that peaceful square in Savannah with its old oak tree and tranquil statue silently keeping watch. Envision the soft glow of lanterns illuminating a path made just for you, leading to a warm, inviting place of rest. Let your heart feel the same warmth that has lingered in those historic streets for centuries. The ghosts and memories there are gentle, watching over with quiet benevolence. You are safe, enveloped in their timeless comfort. Allow your mind to drift now, unburdened by the day's cares. If a lingering thought tries to pull you back, simply let it float by like a leaf in a slow-moving current. Embrace the weightlessness of a mind at ease, the mild hush of a body sinking into restful sleep. This is your time to restore, to heal, to drift among soft dreams. Soon you might feel a gentle veil of drowsiness wrapping around you, guiding you towards slumber. Accept it kindly, knowing you can revisit these Savannah streets whenever you wish, wandering through lantern-lit alleys and pausing beneath ancient oaks without a trace of worry or haste. The ghostly guides will always be there, offering their peaceful watch, whispering that all is well. Let your breathing remain slow, your mind quiet and open to rest. With each moment, sleep comes nearer, a soft tide rising to cradle you in stillness. There is no rush. This is a natural, comforting process. As the final images of raindrops and moss-draped trees fade from your awareness, feel yourself slipping comfortably into the waiting arms of a deep, restorative sleep. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well. May the gentle spirits of those rainy, historic streets watch over you as you wander through the calmest realms of dream. Let the hush of night carry you softly into peace. And when you awaken, you may find that part of you remains in that serene Savannah twilight, where all is quiet, all is calm, and all is at rest. Good night and sweet dreams.